Hey everyone, it's Natalie over at Thistle and Rose Farm, aka Garden Air on YouTube. We will probably be changing our name, just be aware. We're going to be changing it over to the farm name, Thistle and Rose Farm. So today I am making some bread. I am going to do, it's a sourdough discard honey bread, and it's very good. It's soft and delicious, wonderful for sandwiches, and it sells incredibly well for me. This is a wonderful recipe that I've been working on for some time, and now I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to show you how to make it this morning. Now you realize I really don't talk about myself very much on my videos. My husband and I, we have a small homestead and we raise our own honeybees. So all of our honey is our own, including all of our maple syrup because we tap our trees. So this recipe, you can use either honey or maple syrup, whatever you like. You can even switch it over to sugar if that's all you have. So it's very interchangeable for however you like to sweeten your bread. So my husband and I started homesteading back in 2005, somewhere in there. So we've been doing this for a little over 20 years. We did have a break in between. We moved a couple of states and wasn't sure if we were going to keep this way of life. We came back to it because we love this way of life. So if you know anything about me, I make pretty much everything on my own. I believe if it can be made in the store and sold, you can make it yourself, and that's pretty much what I do. There isn't much that I go to the store for. Everything I pretty much make here on my own. Of course, there are ingredients I have to get. We usually use Azure Standard, but we also use some local grocery stores when we have to. Obviously, we're not completely self-efficient, but that would be nice, huh? But yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot. I make my own laundry soap. I make my own soaps. I make a lot of things. So I'm hoping to add more and more of that kind of content to this channel. So really, if you could let me know what kind of recipes you want to see, put it down in the comments below. Let me take a look, and I'll try to make some content that you guys are actually looking for. It would be very helpful to me in the end. So let's get this recipe going because it is really a good one. Okay, so I'm going to be doubling this recipe, so you'll hear measurements, but you'll see me adding more than I'm actually adding. So I'm going to give you the measurements for a single batch while I make a double batch. So we're going to start with our water and yeast. So 1 cup of warm water, and you're going to add a package of dry yeast to that. So 1 package is the equivalent to 2 1/4 teaspoons. So go ahead and add your yeast to your warm water. I'm just rounding mine up to 5 teaspoons. And go ahead and stir that in and let it set. Just stir it until it's dissolved and set it aside. You're going to add 3 1/3 cups of bread flour. Okay, now if you want to use some like freshly milled flour or some stone ground flour or some wheat, just do about 1 cup of that flour as your stone ground or your wheat or whatever it is that you're going to add to this, and that works out great for this recipe. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 large egg. I add it directly to the yeast water. Of course, I'm doubling. And then we're also going to add our honey, and that is 2 tablespoons of honey. So I'll be adding my 4. So I'll do 4 tablespoons of honey. And I don't put things into my honey jar. I always pour from my honey jar. That way I'm not introducing anything into my honey that shouldn't be there. And yes, that means constantly cleaning up the side of your jar, but at least there's nothing in my honey. Okay, I'm going to stir this up and add it to my flour mixture. And we're going to start kneading our bread. Okay, so I'm just going to get this all put together, and then I usually like to knead my bread doughs for about 6 minutes. That seems to be my spot. So, okay, once you have your dough kind of all put together, this is just how I kind of do it. I make like a little well in the center, and I add my sourdough discard. And I'm going to be adding 50 grams, which is actually 100 grams for me. You do not have to add sourdough discard. You can skip it if you like. And I'm just going to fold it in. And now I'm just going to knead my bread. So yes, if you're wondering about my channel, I started it off with a lot of orchids and things like that, and I might still do some orchid videos, but I think I put up a lot of information already, and I kind of want to move on to kitchen stuff and food and some of the farm work and gardening. Really focus more on the outside gardening. So you'll be seeing a lot of that coming up in the next coming months. I have things going in the greenhouse that I will show you, and show you how we grow the majority of our own food. Took a long break off of YouTube. My son had a lot of health issues that I had to prioritize, and so my YouTube video just kind of got put to the wayside during all of that. And to be honest, I didn't even think about YouTube because it wasn't a priority for me during all that time. So I lost a lot of subscribers just as I was really starting to build, and that's really okay. I don't mind that whatsoever because my family has to come first. So those of you who are still here, if you're wondering why it's been such a quiet channel, that's why. that is why. So I'm back, and I'm going to try to build this channel back up. I've been very busy over on Facebook building the farm page. So I'll link that down below for you. And I would really appreciate that like button getting hit, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So I'm going to knead this dough now for about 6 minutes, and we're not going to record all of that because it's boring, and we'll be right back. Honestly, I don't always add the discard the way I did in this video. I just realized that I forgot to add it. So you can add it that way if you forget it, or what I like to do sometimes is like stir it in with the water and get it nice and soft and easier to work through the dough. It really doesn't matter which way you put it in there, as long as you know, if you want to use it up, put it in your bread doughs. Put it in your recipes so you can use it up instead of wasting it and throwing it away. This recipe really is terrific with or without it. Okay, so you can do the window pane test if you like. I usually just feel out my dough. I've been doing this for a long time, and when it feels soft and pliable and I've got a really nice dough worked up, I just shape it into a ball and I put it in my bread tub. Of course, you can cover it however you like. I like to use a bread tub because it comes with a lid, and I don't have to worry about my dough drying out. And I can set it aside for rising. So we're going to cover it, again, however you like. I'm going to set it into a warm spot in my kitchen, usually over on my stove. And we're going to let this one rise for a good hour and a half. It's going to get nice and puffy. And then I'll see you then. I am going to show you really quick. I just fed my sourdough starter, and I like to make it really, really thick. So it's very pasty when I feed it, and that's what keeps it the healthiest for me. It doesn't become too acidic. It just stays really nice and healthy. I do make a large amount at a time. Sometimes I make even more than this because, again, I bake everything. I bake a lot. I don't go to the grocery store. If we need bread, I am making it. If we need hot dog or hamburger buns, I am making them. Pita bread, all the things, you know, our desserts, our snacks, our bagels, our yeah, anything. So I use it. So I have a small, I do a large amount of sourdough starter at a time, and it does not go to waste for me because I am pretty much guaranteed that I'm going to use it up. And I never throw away my discard. It always just goes into something. Okay, we are back from rising time, and as you can see, this bread gets nice and puffy. So I'm going to take it out of the tub. Okay. And I have my loaf pans ready. I just butter them down really heavily, because I don't use cooking spray. And since I have 2 loaves here, I'm going to cut it in half and just show you what I do. And this makes this loaf really pretty. So this is 1 loaf here. And what I do, and for my second one, I will take each half and roll it out about the length of my bread pan. And I will do this with both halves. I usually let one go a little bit longer than the other one. This is a really nice airy bread, so it gets nice and puffy. I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to twist them around each other. And this just makes it a really interesting shape, if you're into that. Or you can just shape it as normal and pop it into your loaf pan, whatever you like. I just have a pretty little twist. Pinch my edges, tuck them under, get it into my dough, my loaf pan. And now I'm going to cover these with a towel, and I'm going to let them rise again about 45 minutes to an hour until they're nice and doubled back. I buy tea towels specifically for covering breads with, so I always have devoted towels for covering. They're not used for absolutely anything else, just this. That way I know it's always clean, and I don't have to worry about what's on my towel or what it was last used for or anything like that. Okay, we'll just let it sit. Brush each loaf with an egg wash, which is just this tiny little egg with a little water in it. Get them all covered up, and from there you can put them in the oven as is, or sprinkle them with some seeds or some oatmeal, whatever you like. Bake these for about 40 minutes at 350 degrees. Enjoy your bread.